You run to a life-transforming experience as Pastor Prince Abah brings you God's Word with deep insight and power. God bless you.
Good afternoon, all. I want to appreciate God for this opportunity to be here again with you. Thank you for your for coming. I want to appreciate my brother and my friend. I walked in and saw him and I was so glad and excited. Recently, the kind of bonding and gelling of heart I have with him is it's unspeakable. Because he's one of the men in the front line of what is happening in Ebonyi State. Maybe you don't know, Ebonyi State is taking a new shape. There are people who are paying the price to see that we also join the community and the committee of states that are doing well in this, in this country. Thank you for coming. Let's appreciate him. Thank you for coming. And of course, my newest friend, I met him yesterday for the first time. Don't know people's ranks and all that in the, what rank? Assistant Corps Commander. That's a big one of the Federal Road Safety. Wow. That's a huge one. Let's appreciate him for coming. You see, he came around yesterday and we got talking and he has a sound mind. This afternoon when I walked in, we got talking again and you can hear some powerful things he's also saying. So we're in partnership now for life. There are things we're going to do. Nigeria will no longer be the same. We're going to pay the price to see that we raise a new nation, raise a new crop of people. And to everybody here, this morning we had a mind-boggling session. I can see some of my friends like a pastor there and a couple of other people. God bless you. God bless you everybody for coming. Thank you for coming. This morning we had a mind-boggling session with the Canadians. After the things we did yesterday, I felt it was important we have another exclusive. I had to skip service. I had to skip all that. And I took a few leaders to listen to what these men were talking about. In fact, at the time, we were almost cancelling this very one. My plan was to move every other person coming this direction towards the other end because some of these things we're trying to achieve, even in a large group, will first happen in small groups. If you get a few percentage of people who will catch this message, permit me to come down, who will catch this message and run with it, we can cause a massive revolution in the entire nation. What you need to change any society is just a fragment, a few people who are willing to come together and agree on a cause. You can cause a sporadic, exponential turnaround. Just a few. Which is why, as a minister, one of the things God told me to do is focus. Hey, my friend, how are you? You're sitting at the back. You should come close. That's one of my friends also, I saw her yesterday and she's here. That's a good one. I'm so excited that you could find time to come. That's amazing. She's an on-air personality, a broadcaster with ABBC. God bless you. How do you change a society? It doesn't start with the majority. It starts often with a minority few. Few people who are willing to come together and agree on a cause, a definite cause, a positive cause, chart a plan, and then execute those plans over a period of time. Do you see a majority can be changed? How did God start the whole of human race? It was Adam and Eve. Just Adam. And then after a while, Eve came, and that was it. Today you have over 7-point-something billion people all over the world, and all that started with one man. It doesn't take God anything to turn the whole nation around. What it will take him is a few percent. Often 2% out of the 100% can turn the whole nation around. It took just Joshua and Caleb to turn around the destiny of Israel. Just a few percent. And then, as I journey with God, God tells me, and I hear him very clearly, if there's one great thing that happens with me in my walk with God is that I'm able to hear God. He has shown me the blueprint and the strategy for betting a new nation, betting a new Nigeria. And we're going to use Ebonyi State as the first prototype. So even while I was discussing with Dr. Carlo, I told him, I said, you're coming back immediately. Even maybe in the next 2 weeks, he has to come again. Or maximum of 1 month, we have to pull him back. Because we already have the number of people that can effect the change now. This audience here is enough. It's enough. After this morning session, I told everybody, I said, all of you here now, you are now the committee member for the planning of the next program. Because we have to come back with a serious bomb now. And God showed me where the army is. At one point in my life and in my journey of this work, I asked God, how do we change this state? How do we change Nigeria? He said, focus on the young people. He said, because the older people are on their way to the tomb, but the younger people are coming from the womb. Now, it doesn't mean that every old person is. Of course, there are older people who God has positioned to be mentors and fathers that will help the younger generation fly farther than them. There are people like that in the older class. But what I'm trying to say to you now is that the people with the key to the future are the young people. You want to see a new Ebonyi State, the focus is on the young people. You want to see a new Nigeria, the focus is on the young people. There are some things we may try to achieve with the older class, but much of the work, 80% of the work out of the 100% have to focus on the young people now. Because the kind of leadership we have in Nigeria needs to be overturned. And how do you overturn it? It's not going to be done by focusing on the guys who are causing the problems now. It's going to be done by focusing on the new breed of people who are growing up. We have to arrest them now and begin to change their values and their cultures, change their mindset. We will not have a replay of this same thing going on. That's the way. And God showed me. So he said, focus on the campus. He said, be a different pastor. Any other pastor can do what he wants to do, but go beyond church. Take this thing beyond church. That's why we put ourselves under pressure. I put myself under all kinds of pressure. Financial pressure and all that. Training and all that. Why? Because I know the program of God for my life is beyond the 4 walls. It's a 7-mountain program. It's a whole sphere of society program. Okay, I need to calm down now and show you. There are 7 stages of development you may need to write. 7 stages. How do we begin the journey to changing a whole nation, to changing a whole community, to changing a whole society, to changing a whole generation? How do we begin that journey? Number 1, and I want to try to be as quick as possible so that once our guests come in, they can also fire. Thank God I have other experts like, Doc's here too. So maybe we'll get into the panelist session. He's going to moderate that session for me. How do you do this? How do you begin the journey into transforming a person? Number 1, the first thing every human being needs is self-discovery. Self-discovery. One of the greatest quotes I've ever read or known about by Socrates, he says, man, know thyself. Man, know thyself. Yesterday you heard Dr. Carlo talking about the you that is in you. What that means is that the you that is in you is greater than the you that we see now. And it is that you that is in you that you need to have a discovery of. Do you know why our society is in disarray? Majority of our human beings everywhere do not know who they are. The greatest knowledge any man can have is knowledge of who he is. Can I say that again? The greatest knowledge any man can have is first knowledge of who he is. It's the knowledge of who you are that changes everything about you. It's the knowledge of who you are that changes where you go to. It's the knowledge of who you are that even decides who you marry. The reason God didn't create Eve when he was creating Adam was first, Adam needed to know who he was. If Adam knows who he is now determines who he marries. I need to show you how God built the whole society he first built that was destroyed. Adam, the first man, had to first be introduced to self-discovery. And self-discovery begins with God discovery. That's why in studying man is a tripartite being and also exists as a three-designed being. Man is a spirit that has a body, and of course that has a soul and live in a body. Apart from that truth, man also has three core purposes for existence. The first is worship. Worship deals with discovering God. And it's in knowing God that man begins to find out who he is. How does an eagle know he's an eagle? You give birth to an eagle. How does an eagle know his identity? It's by looking at the source where it comes from. Is somebody hearing what I'm saying? How does a chicken know he's a chicken? It's by looking at the source from where it comes. How does a goat know he's a goat? It's by studying the source from where it comes. Do you know you can change the identity, sir, of a chicken? Maybe you give birth to a chicken. For instance, you lay a chicken egg. A chicken lays a chicken egg. And then you take that egg and put it in the midst of eagle eggs and allow the eagle to hatch both the eagle eggs and the chicken egg. You'll be so shocked. After a period of time of growth, that eagle or that chicken that was hatched in the company of eagles begins to behave like eagle. What that tells you is that eagle is not in the body. Chicken is not in the body. Chickens have wings. Eagles have wings. Why is it an eagle fly farther than a chicken does? It's not because the wing of the eagle or the wing of the chicken is so limited that it can't fly as far as the eagle can fly. The problem is in the identity within. It's in the knowledge of who they are. It's a simple thing. Once you want people to know who they really are, you need to take them to God. God is the genesis of self-discovery. You came from God. God is your source. Don't be confused by the things you learned in school by Charles Darwin and all those people who told you that man evolved from apes. That's why some human beings behave like animals. Because they believe that they came from some kind of crazy evolution, monkey evolution or chimpanzee evolution. Who told you you came from there? Your maker is God. And he made you in his image and his likeness. The image of God deals with the character of God. It deals with the values of God. God is love. God is kind. God is compassion. God is loving. God is all that. That's the image of God. The image of God is the seat of God's value system. Then you have the likeness of God that deals with the mental functionality of God. How God thinks. How God reasons. God is wise. God is visionary. God is creative. He is a possibility thinker. He's a God of faith. There's nothing hard for him. Imagine every human being in this world understands this. You will never have any human being on the earth living like an animal again. You will never have any human being on the earth living below his fullest potential. Because that software God used to create man, image and likeness, is what makes you superior from every other animal. I hope you know, nothing ordinarily would have made you different from a monkey. The difference between you and animals is that you have the image and the likeness of God in you. First thing you need to give any person is the knowledge of who he is. Self-discovery. Who are you? What are your potentials? What are your callings? What are your giftings? Why are you here? Where do you come from? For what purpose were you born? That's the first journey. That's the first step to developing a powerful nation. That's the first step to developing a powerful society. Everybody in that nation, everybody in that society needs a clue about who he is. A man who knows that he is designed to be a president of a nation has no business with crime. A lady who knows she is designed to be the next Esther of her generation has no business with sugar daddies. Because you know who you are. Yesterday I walked in somewhere and I saw ladies abusing themselves. You need to see all kinds of stuff. Now somebody, you're judging. I'm not judging nobody, but I'm telling you self-discovery. There are things you won't do if you know who you are. So some ladies, doing some stuff, smoking hemp and all that, and to them they're enjoying life. And I said, what do you need to change this lady? It's not even preaching Bible. It's just opening her eyes to see who she can be better than what she's currently doing. If you see how self-discovery can change a man, can change a person's destiny, He can turn his life around. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Knowledge of who I am. I could as well decide to be on the streets clubbing. I can as well decide to be throwing my life away in cultism, throwing my life away in all kinds of frivolities. But why am I doing this? Knowledge of who I am. Do you know when God appeared to Jeremiah, the first thing he gave him was a clue to who he is? You can read it up. If you have the scriptures, flash it up for them. Jeremiah chapter 1. He said, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. He said, before you were even born, I had ordained you a prophet to nations. When God meets a man, the first thing he gives him is that knowledge. He meets Moses in the bush, taking care of his father's-in-law sheep, and he tells him, oh God, you are a deliverer. You're not just a normal human being. Your life is not meant to end in the bush. The palace is where you are going to. The knowledge of who you are changes your destiny. It changes your thinking. It changes your behavior. It changes your association. It changes everything. I'm not going to dwell there for long. Number 2. After personal discovery, the next thing is personal transformation. The first deals with knowing, but the second now deals with becoming. So, personal discovery is the knowledge of who you are, but personal transformation is the becoming. Is the becoming. Is the becoming. Is a process of metamorphosis that takes place in your life daily to make you that man that you want to become. Personal transformation, the transformation of your values, the transformation of your heart, the transformation of your character, and this is an ongoing process. There's a way some of us are that does not fit into the big plan of our lives. It requires a total overhauling, a daily transformation of our character, a daily transformation of our behavior, a daily transformation of our values in order to emerge into the man God wants us to be. Becoming. I've seen people who have great dreams, great vision, great potentials, and great all that. Just little issues in their character is the problem. And God told me something. He said, this is the place you need to focus even more on. He said, talent is one thing, potential is one thing, but developing values is one of the best things you can ever do for yourself. You see values like humility. You see values like respect. Knowledge sometimes can puff up. You can know a thing so well that you are so proud. I've seen people, their own problem is pride. Transformation breaks you. Transformation. The Bible said, do not be conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind. You see, transformation is a mental thing. Transform. When Dr. Charlie explains transform, it's usually amazing. He said trans is something in motion. It's a form. He said there's a form you are that needs to be overhauled. That needs to be. A lot of us have great dreams and great potentials, but there's a form that we are that we need to change. Because that form cannot fit into the big picture of God for your life. That's why the second deals with transformation. And what you transform? Your mind, your thinking. What you transform? Your habits, your character. I hope you know that when you sow a thought, you reap a word. And when you sow a word, you reap what? An action. When you sow an action, you reap a habit. And habit is one of the things that when you have formed it, it becomes difficult to break. You will need new set of information to change certain habits. Maybe, for instance, masturbation, for instance, is your problem. There's an information that gives birth to masturbation. Masturbation is not just an action that comes from anywhere. There are things you feed into your mind that creates that kind of behavior. It could be pornography. What you call blue films. You sit on it on the internet, it's programming you. But you're a man of great destiny and you know. People have told you where you're going. You know this is where you're going to. But you now see habits are holding you down. For some of you, it's excessive sleep. And some other habits. For some, it's the habit of laziness. And so many kind of habits holding people down. What do you now need to break a wrong or negative habit? It's new set of information. When you have been glued to pornography, this time, you need to now start listening to tapes from people like this. You need to start looking at podcasts, watching new videos, things that can enlighten your mind. You see people who are into rape, cultism and all that. It's an information they have been feeding on for some period of time that have bettered that kind of a person. For instance, if you stay in a negative association, give it time, even if you're a good person, you begin to form bad habits without knowing how. You were not born smoking. Your father never smoked. Your mother never smoked. All it takes to smoke, you don't need anybody to teach you how to smoke. Find yourself in a circle of people who smoke. A young lady was telling me, showing me one of my daughters, showing me her result. She said, Pastor, look at my result this semester. I'm not impressed by this. I don't like this result. I said, what is now the issue? He said, I don't like this semester result. I could have done better. I said, okay, this is how to do better. Who are the 3 best students in your class? He said, well, I don't even know them. I'm not sure. I don't mix around with them. I said, that's the problem. I said, find the 3 best guys in your class. Make them your friends. You have high results. You have powerful results. The next person, because this thing is a diffusion thing. When you mix in the right company, the things that carry to rub off on you. If somebody hear what I'm saying, that's why I'm going for a relationship like what I have with Dr. Kalu is a privilege. I even consider him one of my mentors. What I have with, Dr. Charlie, powerful. Why am I mixing with them? Because their exposures, their trainings, certain things that they have. I may have some things, but I need fire from people to sharpen what I'm carrying inside. You walk and talk and behave like the company you keep. Is somebody hearing what I'm saying? So transformation is a deliberate thing. It's not enough to know your future, know your potentials, know your giftings, and know where you're going to. You need to find out what is going to take to put you in the shape that actualizes that dream. Eliminate negative thought pattern. Eliminate negative way of speaking. Eliminate negative behavior. If your own is pride, my friend, you now need to learn humility. Your own is excessive sleep. It's a habit. You have to overhaul that. Because your habit will now determine your character. And your character finally determines your destiny. Let's leave it at that. Number 3 is personal development. After personal discovery, you have personal transformation, which is about the heart. The heart of the human matter is a matter of the human heart. The issue of the heart. I don't have time to talk about that because I want to drop this mic. Okay. Number 3, personal development. What do you do at this level? You train yourself. You develop yourself. You go for practical skills. God may have told you that you're going to speak to presidents of nations, but you need to go and learn how to talk. Communication skills. You need to go and train it. Your future may be a very colorful one, and you may even be a very good guy. You don't tell lies, you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't do all that. But what is holding you back? Incompetence. Mediocrity. No spirit of excellence. And it takes deliberate training to arm yourself with the skills. Joseph was a good guy. But it didn't take just being good for him to stand before Pharaoh. He had competence. Daniel was a good guy. It didn't just take being good, being prayerful to stand before the king. It took competence. Part of Nigeria's problem is that we have people in very good positions but with lack of the required skills to solve the problem. Part of the problem of our educational system in Nigeria is also that we are training the head, we're not training skills. That's why we have a backlog of graduates who come out of school, no jobs for them, no jobs. Because the focus of the curriculum is on the head, the brain. They just expand your brain, teach you, do's and don'ts, teach you all the civil service laws and all that. Just make you good enough for administration. They don't impact you on your creativity. They don't impact on your initiative. They don't impact on your skill. No vocational training. No nothing like that. So an average graduate comes out of school and all he's thinking about is how to go and get a job. He's not thinking of how to create jobs. He's not thinking of how to create because he doesn't have the required skills. That's why I'm a lifelong learner. I do everything within my power to get all that I need, all that I require to develop myself. If it's a book that will teach me how to be better, I go for it. I don't ask the price of a book. I can price suits, but you see, book, if it's too good, I buy. Things like cars, not my problem. Do you know, sir, before we even came to the airport to pick you up, my Range Rover Sport shut down. Is away. One of the balloons just started leaking, and then the whole tires shut down. Couldn't rise again, and it can't move once it goes down like that. You need to see how I abandoned and dumped the car. That's not a problem to me. Things like cars are not my issue. Dumped it, I was willing to even jump Okada and start going for this conference. Why? Because somebody even produced the car. It's a human being like me that produced that car. So why should I celebrate things more than celebrate being better? Nothing drives me like the quest to know more, like the quest to develop myself, like the quest, anywhere there's a conference, I can pay any price to fly there and go and learn. Anywhere. It doesn't matter how much a conference is fixed. That's the problem even in a boy state. People would prefer to go for prophecy all night, and they tell you to bring cutlass, bring broom, bring whip, koboko night, you know. And then they tell you to flog the devil 32 strokes, okay? Which devil are you flogging? It's inside your mind. It's ignorance. The problem of Africa, why Africa is called a dark continent, it's not because of the pigmentation of our skin color. It's because our minds are dark. Ignorance is darkness. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered around the face of the waters. And God said, let there be lights. The light God created was not sun. The light he created was illumination of his mind, because God could not turn a world that was formless into a visible place until he received mental illumination. The empowerment of God's mind was what created everything else. We don't value knowledge. We value superstition. We value lies. And that's what is going on all over a boy. And I say without apology, it's got to change. If we're going to move people from Egypt into Canaan, if we're going to move them from the wilderness into Canaan, we've got to change that method of ministry. Somebody made me say, Pastor, my husband, I don't know, we have never been in peace for all this while. I don't know what is going on, blah, blah, blah. He is threatening divorcing me. Please pray. Let the onslaught of the devil over my family. I said, Madam, calm down. I need to find out a few things, but I won't do that without your husband being here. So call your husband. So she called the husband arrived. I said, Mister, what is your wife's fault? Why are you trying to? The man began to explain detail for detail, step by step. Do you know all the things he mentioned? If there were 10, not one had to do with witches and wizards. All of them had to do with competence. The woman cannot cook. He says, if you see where this woman dresses here, you would think it's your grandmother who is in the house with you. He says she doesn't know how to take care of her body. He says she can't even follow me to social functions and represent. How did you feel when your wife spoke this morning? You felt proud. You want somebody who can represent you. Now, what should you bind them for that to happen? Most people are fighting demons that are not responsible for their problem. The problem is their lack of skills, their lack of competence, their lack of training. It's high time that we start valuing this, the place of developing yourself. When you have something doing, maybe it's business, maybe it's any skill you're offering, maybe it's a vocation or whatever, you have to grow yourself to be outstanding in it. You have to grow yourself to be good at what you do. Whenever you do what you do, let people know you are the best in that field. If it's communication that is your own, media, music or whatever. I didn't tell you, Doc, I'm a musician also. Apart from whatever, I sent Pastor David a particular keyboard, whatever I did. He shouted, wow. He kept shouting. He said, you're a man of many colors. He said, how did you come by all these skills? I said, development. I play about 5 music equipments. Far above average. I have a very big keyboard in my house. A 7-octave keyboard. And I train on them. I sing. I train choirs. And it didn't start today. And so many other giftings God has put in me. Having identified this gift, the next task I put on myself was to train. I went to music school to learn. There's one pastor that was talking to me about NIPS in Jos. I said, whatever it will cost to go for that training this August, I will go for it. I'm one man who does not turn a blind eyes on anything that develops me. I go for trainings. Some of you have skills inside, but you are at a crude level. Your skills are not marketable. Why? Because you've not developed it. Talent is not enough. You can be talented and nobody's patronizing you, because nobody patronizes talent. It is talent that has been turned into skills that is marketable. That's what can fetch you wealth. Why is Sinach needed everywhere? Not because he can sing. His skills. Why is Frank Edwards needed? Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before what? Kings and not mere men. If there's anything I know, just like Dr. Carlo is already doing and Dr. Charlie, is that I know I'm going to talk to presidents of nations. I know I'm going to talk to governors of states. I know I'm going to talk to legislators. I won't come to the legislative chamber and be doing receive the power of God there, even if it's also good. I need to come and teach them how to write bills. So I'm training in school of government now. The Bible says, and Joseph taught Pharaoh's senators wisdom. He was a Christian, if you allow me to use that word. Even if there was no Christianity at that time. But he was a Christian, a good guy, a God person. But he was in the palace, teaching senators wisdom. Teaching them how to formulate policy. Teaching them how to write bills. That's the kind of believers we need now. People who will pay the price to develop themselves, to teach society, to teach government, to develop curriculums in the educational sector. Pick these curriculums that is not helping our nation and throw them away and get new kingdom-based curriculum that can change the lives of young people. That's what we need. And it takes development. It takes research. We are building hotels everywhere in the state. Building hotels and eateries everywhere in Nigeria. Our libraries are dilapidated. Why? Because the value for knowledge is declining. Our politicians are interested in things that can tell, that people can see. Things that people can, the guy did well, he's working, Willie is working, and all that is working, and all that. They just want what people can see, aesthetics. But we don't build people in your city. When you leave office, they're the ones that will destroy what you're building. That's why human capital is the greatest kind of investment you can make. The greatest kind of investment. Any nation that plays with the development of our people is sitting on a keg of gunpowder. There are things we advertise now like the real thing. We advertise flamboyance. We advertise secularism. We advertise nudity now. People are chasing shadow. They think if you don't have a G-Wagon now, you're not the latest guy. If you don't have a Mercedes-Benz, you're not the latest guy. That's why so many people are into internet fraud now. Yahoo everywhere. Giving Nigeria a bad reputation everywhere. As a nation that is full of scammers. Why? Because nobody wants to sit down again and drill himself from within. I'm going to stop at the fourth one. There are 7. The fourth one is personal effectiveness. When you develop yourself, it's natural for you to become effective in what you do. Whatever service you render, you become effective. You cannot be a blessing to society until you're first a blessed man. God told Abraham, he said, I will bless you. That's the starting point. What you do from number 1 to number 3 is self-help. Is helping yourself to become a man who can help other people. That thing is important. You need to discover yourself. You need to transform yourself. Then develop yourself. Because the end result is not you, it's people. The end result is not you. The exit point is society. You can't give what you don't have. So when you are effective personally, it's natural for you to move into the 5th stage, which is leadership development. Leadership is where you are now using what you have acquired over the years, your trainings, your abilities, your skills, your competencies, everything, your experiences, all that you have been able to, get in touch. You're using it now to help other people, to train other people, to help other people become good. That is leadership. And everybody hear me, you are a leader. You are born to be a leader. But you will not become a leader until you are made a leader. Your destiny is to be a leader. But you must be made a leader. That's why Jesus said, follow me and I will do what? Make you. What did Jesus see in Peter? It was leadership spirit. He saw a leader in him. But for you to become that leader that would influence the world, that will do great things, you have to go through a process. That making process is what turns you into a leader. And 1 is self-discovery. Number 2 is personal what? Transformation. And number 3 is what? Somebody will have to be responsible for transformation. There are things you don't want to do to yourself. You need a mentor. Like whether you like it or not, you see Dr. Carly, you see Dr. Charlie, they are now one of the mentors of Ebonyi State. Not just mentors to us here. They are now mentors of the state. I'm bringing them back again. And this time I'm going to be taking them all over the campuses. Because they are teaching, we need more audience to hear it. You need somebody who is going to be responsible to your training. Somebody who is going to be, who can hold you accountable for your actions. And then you have arrived at that point where you are now effective. You can now hold other people accountable. That's what leadership is. Leadership is holding people accountable for their decisions, holding them accountable for their actions, holding them accountable for the choices they make. That's leadership. It's finding a path for people to go, for people to walk in. That's leadership. Leadership is setting the pace for others to follow. That's leadership. And every one of you here, you are a leader, but you will not be an effective leader until you know who you are, until you transform yourself, until you develop yourself, until you're personally effective. Then you can become a leader to people. There are 2 more we cannot talk about because of time. Go and digest this one. Africa has come to our point of rising. There's a new message that is going to herald the whole place now. This is the message for the hour. And we are going to stay on it for as long as possible. I was telling my friend who is going to be here very soon in some. Said, like when people prophesy, people on social media. I'll close with this. Prophesying, you're going to get a car, you're going to get a house, you're going to get money. All that is good. I said, I want to take my own prophecy beyond. I said, I want to prophesy to nations. I want to prophesy to people's destinies. This egocentric prophecy is good though, but it's elementary one. There's a higher level. When God appears to a man, see how he talks. See what God told Adam, the first man. Let's make man in our image and likeness, and let them have dominion. And he specified, he said, over the sea, over the land, and over the air. When you see fowls of the air, it's not talking about birds in the air. It's talking about the forces of the air. When you hear about the fish in the sea, it's not talking about the fishes inside the sea. It's talking about the forces of the sea. That's a territory of its own. You can have dominion there. When he's talking about the cattle on the land, it's not talking about the ones you see, the cows and the goats. It's talking about the whole forces of the land. Have dominion over the whole nations. Have dominion over institutions. Have dominion over spheres of influence. Some of you hearing me here, you are the one God is calling to have dominion over the entertainment industry. To change the paradigm there. Mess going on in that industry. The corruption in our entertainment world now. I checked the other day, Davido has hit 20 followers on Instagram. He's one of the biggest guys now with more followers. What is he teaching them? And there are kingdom people here. God can give you influence on social media when you transform nations. You open your media now, what you're hearing is sex, sex, sex. Entertainment is sex, 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 sex. And our kingdom people are just in church, kabashing. It's time to release you to society now. But the process is what is important. We need to pass you through process, train you, develop you, change your way of thinking, which is what Dr. Khan challenged you. Change your paradigms, and after that, we now release you as a suicide bomber. A suicide bomber to nations. You entertainment mountain. You do entertainment clean. You don't need to be a pollutant. You shoot musical videos. Nobody needs to wear bomb shots to dance and show her bumbo. We want to watch healthy comedies now, where the comedies will no longer be about woman this, man this, sex that. It will be kingdom-based comedy that will change people's lives and destinies. Whatever you think your passion and your vision is, sit down on that vision, develop yourself for it, train yourself for it, because the time for Africa has come. And you are the one God is going to future in this new program. You are the one. Let me hear a big amen. I I wish we have all the time, but I have to stop at this point. And then I know there's going to be need for question and answer, but I will allow Dr. Carlo to come up and, determine the next thing we'll do. And after that, we may find a few minutes to do some Q&A. So people can ask questions and then they can do justice to it. But I can guarantee you they are coming again. Doc, I actually told them that it might be 2 weeks from now, sir. That's how desperate I am to have you back. That's how desperate I am. And there's a campus here. We have many campuses in the Ebonyi State. We have one at Ikwe Federal University. We have another one in the state here, the State University. We have some polytechnics. That's where your fire needs to go to, sir. Because God said to me, this issue of young people, if you want to catch them, is in the campuses. We need to catch them, sir. So whatever it will take to get you come back, we are going to start planning immediately. How many do we have in Funai? Those of you from Funai, how many students do you have approximately? Are you up to 10,000 there? That's even the JCCF president of the campus there. Is my son, the JCCF president, the one in charge of the Joint Campus Christian Fellowship of the whole. How many people do you have in your JCCF? In JCCF? As a Christian organization. You see, Doc, you're carrying what they need. He brought a father of the faith to the city, Abah. When he finished vibrating that evening, I left back to my house crying. I found the floor. I said, this is too much of fun. We can't contain it in church. We have to do things. As soon as street revival was inside the church, it was on the street that is sparked up. And it went like wildfire all over the nations. The thing is this, we need to find where these people are. Some of them don't go to church, they are in the football pitch. I was at Fulham one Sunday and young boys were playing football. And I said, no, something needs to hit this campus. A revival to come here. And you see, thank God these men are balanced people, priests and kings. That's what I was telling you the other day. We now need to develop every young man, not just to be a kabas kind of Christian, but to be a solution provider to his country, to be a solution provider to his nation, and it will take developing your kingship dimension. So, sir, I'm begging you, I need to get you back again. What you did with us this morning is terrible. What you did with us this morning is amazing. We need to take it to a larger audience. I will pay the price for it. Get me the old JCCF this weekend. I'm going to have a meeting with you guys. All the executives, I want to have you guys. I've told Pastor Bumleme we are going to bring Bishop Isaiah back to the campus. We are going to bring Dr. Charlie. We are going to bring Dr. Macaulay. The whole campus is to catch fire. There must be no space for the devil to run our society again. No space. How can we be here and say that children are running the show? No space. I close with this. God asked me one time in an aircraft while I was coming back from a particular nation. He said, if you heal individuals of sicknesses, in this plane, if people are sick, what do you do to heal them? I said, I will lay hands on them and they'll be healed. He said, as good as that is, let me ask you, what if the plane is sick? How do you heal the plane? I said, Lord, what are you trying to ask me? What are you trying to, you want to mess up with my mind? He said, no, just answer. If everybody in this plane, over 300 and something passengers you have here, are sick, how do you heal them? I said, I've told you, I will lay hands on them. They will be healed. He said, what if the aircraft is sick? I said, Lord, I can't lay hands on. He said, there's a different technology for healing the aircraft. He said, when we preach in our churches and we are addressing individual problems, you are healing individual sicknesses. He said, as good as that is not the main job. He said, the aircraft in this context is the society. He said, that's the one we need to learn how to heal. And you don't heal that one by laying hands. You don't heal that one by blowing air. You heal that one by developing systems and structures. You heal that one by doing ministry. You heal that one by fulfilling purpose. The way you're sitting here now, maybe it's you God is going to use to go and help all these ladies who are purposeless, who are aimless, who are living around the street without direction. Maybe it's you. Music may be a platform they just gave you. You know, the problem is that we carry music and we're exercising dominion with music inside the church. We could do street concerts in campuses on the street. There was one I wanted to do, and I'm going to do it soon. Street worship, street concert, street by street, early morning when people are still sleeping. That's why I developed my music ministers to the highest. You bring them out with the best instrument. They are play more skillfully than Davido, play more skillfully than Whiskey, sing more skillfully. You gather multitudes with music like that. You can change them without even preaching. You can change them just by doing professional music. There are different platforms we need to launch out now. So when I finish from here, we will set a new date for their coming again. And then we're going to invade the campus. I'll come back to your school this week. We'll have a meeting with your JCCF executive. From there, we'll meet with the SUG. We'll meet with all the other groups, student leaders on your campus, and plan this. I need the whole 11,000 people. Get the biggest theater. Let's pack the whole people there. And give these men opportunity to express this fire. We finish from there, we take Epsom and ground that place. Finish from there, we take Uwanapoli. Then when we finish gathering this army we are looking for, we now hit the city proper. Then we can now tell the nation, you guys have no space again to ruin this country. We are raising a new army of takeovers. Dr. Kalu is a policy maker. He has what it takes to build systems and structure. I'm trusting God as they keep coming back, a whole full-fledged school will come out of this. It's not just a program thing. When he was talking today, he had a problem of time. He couldn't even talk. He would talk and say, oh my God, there's a lot to do here. So we now need a full-fledged school where we can train youths. Maybe a youth academy, maybe a youth development center, just maybe anything with curriculum. Youths can go there, 6 months, get trained, and then go back to their businesses, come back after a while, get trained again. They know how to go about that. God bless you.
We believe you've been transformed by the wonders of God's Word. For additional information about us, you can visit our website at www.princetonhills.org. You can also send us a mail at info@princetonhills.org or call
070-331-66762 or 081-31-555-747.
Princeton Hills Ministries, raising global leaders.